So I'll quickly introduce our speakers right now, ladies and gentlemen. This session is going to be chaired by Girish, Huria, who's the head of growth, APAC, WE and EVP, Avian V. Give it up for Mr. Girish, Huria, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome. I'll quickly introduce our speakers in alphabetical order. We have Apeksha Mishra, who's the head corporate communications, policybazaar.com. Give it up for Apeksha, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We also have Jasrita Dhir, director, marketing and communications, Karkinos Healthcare. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Kya baat? Thank you. We also have the privilege of having with us over here Khushboo Mehra, who's the AVP Corporate Communications Zomato. Give it up for her as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. जो लोग ताली नहीं बजाएंगे, सबके ऐप में, सबके फोन में से Zomato अपने आप अनइंस्टॉल हो जाएगा. Please keep note of that, huh? Can we please have some appreciation going in for Mitali, Darbari, Prakash, business director and partner, the Mavericks. This is the energy I want for everybody. क्या बात है? क्या बात है? Lady superstar walking in. क्या बात है? Thank you. ये testimony मिल गया. This is the energy that I want with everybody over here. Delhi, please show some love for all our speakers over here. Next one, let's see क्या होता है. It's Reegal, Ranjan, Senior Vice President, Value 360 Communications. बजा रहे हो आप लोग ताली same level पे. Thank you. We also have Ritika, Jauhari. I hope I got the pronunciation right again. Thank you. Senior Partner, SPAG, Fin Partners. देखो बड़े-बड़े लोगों से ये सब thumbs up मिलता है, confidence आता है फिर ना. Otherwise, we really lack that. So that's it for our panel right now. The stage is set. The panel is once again ready. Let's get going. Thank you.
Hello. I can see everyone. I hope you can hear me. I know it's 6 o'clock. We are a couple of hours away from the nice beverages outside and from all the trophies. So we'll try and keep this short. In your interest, the panelists have kindly agreed that we will crunch this panel instead of 45 minutes to close to 30 minutes. Right? We got to go home. So with that, I'm just going to kickstart. My first question is to, and we'll start with you, Jasrita. How do you see the role of data analytics evolving in the PR industry over the next 5 years?
So I think this is a bit of a crystal ball gazing sort
Yes.
of a question. I have three to kickstart and then other of my co-panelists can chime in. I think first, more empowered decision making. Because from intuition and experience-based, what data is allowing us is to move the needle from I think to I know. I think this story will work with this journalist. I feel this is the preferred platform. You've got that plethora of data that tells you for a fact it will work. So the decision-making is becoming more empowered and therefore targeted journalists, preferred platform, better communication, crafting of the message. I think that's the first one. The second is PR's efficacy to move from only top funnel, which it is currently, to bottom line. And allow me to elucidate on that point because the eyebrows have gone up, as I can see. Ask most top leadership and they'll say that PR's role is generating positive coverage in the preferred media, quotes, within quotes. But what data is going to allow you in the next 5 years is to include the goals which more directly impact a business and its ROI, if I may say. So for instance, 3 examples very quickly. Retaining and attracting top talent by building the employer brand through internal comms and beyond. Investor relations, those conversations. Raising pricing because you've been able to have a good brand image and enhanced equity, etc. Now, all of these things, if you see, which are staffing, regulatory, investment, pricing, cost, all of these impact the bottom line. So I think 5 years later, we should be able to say, कि since time immemorial top funnel तो हम करते ही आ रहे हैं, but here is the impact that PR is doing also on the bottom line. I see that happening. That's two. And quickly, the third one is from bot chain, which it is today, to blockchain. Okay. Just yesterday we had the study come out that 60% of all influencers, more than 1,000, which we are working with now, are fake influencers, right? So currently from the bot chain that we have to the benefits of blockchain that you have of more transparency, enhanced security, streamlined efficiency coming into PR. These are the three trends that I see. And
Interesting. And I'm going to just take a cue on one of that. And I'm going to throw that queue open to the three people from consultancies who are sitting over here is from top line to bottom line. That's how data
to also bottom.
Yeah, also bottom line and impacting business. So what's your view? Ritika, do you want to go ahead?
So, yeah, it's working. Girish, before that, I just want to harp on one aspect of, how do I see data being, evolving, data-led PR being evolving in the next 5 years. It's a very, very critical time that we are in because PR is becoming business critical. This is something that, many of my clients, because I come from an agency, we always work backwards. The first thing that we ask our clients is, what is your business objective? What does success mean to you? And therefore, now, once that is defined, understanding what data will help me achieve that objective is becoming very important, especially in healthcare. I think when the way we use and collect data to define what my audience is, why are they important to me, where are they consuming news, what do they want to hear, what are the questions they are asking, becomes my first step. And then from that, we define the channel and the content strategy. So I think that is my topmost, priority that I need to do. And in the next 5 years, it is going to become even more critical.
Yeah, I just want to add here that I think just looking at how the media landscape is also evolving, there's a lack of trust, within the larger community about brands. And I think that's where the role that data is going to play in establishing credibility and trust for brands over the next 5 years, it's just going to increase significantly.
Sure. Interesting. So we are all talking about data becoming critical or super critical to business decision making. Yeah. Now, I'll just throw open, that brings me to the next one, is we are all talking data. And trust me, all of us are consuming a lot of data. I know Akriti just spoke about data some time ago and how do you decipher data and what can you do with it. And somebody got super excited by seeing Imara as well. But that apart, there's so much data that is happening. How do you or how can PR professionals identify and focus on what's the most relevant data point to drive actionable insights? And especially I would like to ask Khushboo and Apeksha this question, and maybe Reegal, you can pitch in on this one, is given the hyperactive environment that you guys are in terms of your businesses, where there's so much data that is getting generated, what is it and what are the actionable insights that you're looking at, and how do you think which point of data is the most relevant for you guys from that perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, ours is an insurtech and numbers tell our story. So we are crunching data, we are doing data analysis on a day-to-day basis and talking to a lot of customers on a daily basis. So when these conversations happen at our call centers or whoever we are speaking to, we there are many conclusions that are drawn on a daily basis based on those conclusions and a lot of data actually. So we use those conclusions to plan our strategies, think of customers. I'll give you an example. During COVID, there was a lot of scared about the bills going like crazy, and will OPD, out-of-pocket expenses, be covered? Will my health insurance cover OPD expenses? Now that question was not answered by anyone because no one knew how the rules of the health plans would change, or the insurers were also trying to make sure that we are able to service our customers aptly. But what we did was, when we found out that this is the query coming in a lot to our customer calls, to our businesses and everyone, we as an industry, along with, because we have a lot of data inputs with us, we mentioned mentioned it to the insurers, and all of us, we all came together to come up with products that cover OPD expenses. This is just one example. There are maternity plans that we have now coming up because that segment was a little neglected. So why are these changes happening? And we are promoting this through our PR campaigns because somewhere through the data analysis, we are finding out that these segments, this is what a customer wants. And that's where we fill the gap, right? So we are making sure that our campaigns, and ours being a product company, the business is heavily dependent on the PR, product PR that we do. Yes, we do brand PR, but product PR is something which we focus on heavily, and that drives our daily bread and butter. So another example I would like to give, there was an NRI campaign that we did in several countries on the term insurance side. I think 2 months back. So how do we gauge the impact of that? We went back to our business teams and we spoke to them that in these months, how are the leads coming in? It's a direct impact, right? So the mapping is quite easy. If you focus on the areas, the timeline, you will get to know what your customer wants, and that's what you want to give them. So as our story from the day I've joined Policy Bazaar, I think I've made sure we have worked on data stories every month, like every business unit, 2 to 3 hero stories, data stories. That's how we build the business. That's how we work on a daily basis. So yeah. That's
interesting.
What I would say.
Khushboo, I know a lot of people would want to know how do you use data at Zomato?
No, very similar sort of an approach, right? I mean, it's very interesting to see that how the assessment of data and how you look at it is way beyond how you look at marketing and PR campaigns. I mean, that's something that's a given. But in terms of decision making, like for us, even in terms of launching new features and products, categories for both quick commerce and the main business, most of that idea actually comes from data assessment, which happens on a daily basis. And like obviously lots of examples to give on that front. But you just look at, newer categories that people want, say on a quick commerce platforms. A lot of times those ideas are coming from what people are talking about on a daily basis. So of course there's a lot of social listening that, that's done practically every day. A lot of that is automated, a lot of that is also manual. But that makes the data assessment a lot more interesting because from PR to marketing to, and that's actually the end goal. But the starting point is how you're looking at business differently. And at least in our case, a lot of course correction happens because of what we hear from data. And that pivot is not only a pivot in communication or marketing, but that pivot a lot of times in our cases is also from a business decision. Because there are times when, at least in an industry like ours, a lot of new launches happen. And then you hear so much about it from, practically 24 hours sort of a social listening, and you hear what perception it is, getting to and what people really want, which makes it very easy for at least such, consumer-facing businesses to actually pivot very quickly. So for me, that is the most interesting thing in terms of course, how does, a marketing or a comm strategy evolves. But more importantly, how does business also, very quickly can pivot depending on the industry that it is in, depending on how we're assessing data.
Reegal?
Yeah. To add to what Khushboo and Apeksha has just mentioned, I would like to connect it to the MIT research wherein it was discovered that only 5% of data in the whole world is used in decision making. So just imagine where the gaps are. And being a PR professional, understanding big data is very important. It's very crucial. Because there are massive volumes of data which is produced on an everyday basis. And if we look at numbers, it is estimated that close to 3.5 gigamillion bytes of data which is produced on an everyday basis. So now look at, imagine, the perils and the challenges which a PR professional is facing today. One, in terms of, this data deluge, understanding the data, and along with this understanding, taking out those insights and those relevant pointers which are there, which are really important if a brand or, for our clients, if we are going for a strategy, or even for that matter, if we are planning a campaign. So that is the base. And this data, obviously understanding and taking out relevant pointers will make us look intelligent and also suggest logical pointers or campaigns, to our clients. Along with this, I also feel that there are many other things which are looking at KPIs. We need to also, set the objectives when we are looking at, drafting strategies for our clients or looking at the bigger pictures in the industry. And along with this, KPIs, both quantitative and qualitative will work. And our measurement, continuous measurement and obviously amendment wherever we feel that current trends are changing. So according to those trends, we can also modify our strategy and suggestions which we are giving it to the brands and clients.
Anybody wants to add any more point before I go to the next? Yeah, go ahead, Mitali.
I think one interesting that has happened on the agency side, and a lot of you would agree here, is that at least when you're working with the not so digital first companies where data collection itself is a huge challenge, I think the kind of expertise agencies are now bringing in is onboarding data scientists, data analysts, right? At least having those checks and balances put in place so that at least that data can be collected and at least some sense can be made out. And that's where the collaboration, integration with the PR teams really helps it.
Interesting. So we are hiring data scientists in making those investments, and I think that's a very, very powerful path forward. And I'm sure many organizations are investing that kind of monies. And that actually brings me to the next point, which is around crisis, right? We all know crisis is critical and it becomes extremely important from a reputation perspective. How are you guys leveraging data to predict some of these crises ahead of time and then put in your checks and balances, number one? Number two, when the crisis happens, how is data really helping you navigate those crises? So, Jasrita, your views.
Yeah, so data is providing us with the boon of hindsight, foresight, and that elusive thing called time. So in hindsight, not every communicator has the benefit of knowing that what crisis had happened in the company or at an industry, right? But data helps you to say what was the trigger, which strategy worked, what tanked, what didn't work, right? So today you don't have to, that learning doesn't have to be on account of you or that brand. So that's one. In terms of foresight, I think your social listening tools are excellent, which tells you when there is a spike that's happening. So if there is a new offering which is going to come in the market, right? There's a new service or a product, you can pick up spikes of any negative backlash against it. So that window between negative perception to negative coverage, that window, that time you have for very gainful utilization of all the PR interventions, internal and external, that you want to do at that time. All the options are available to you to, depending on the severity, to pull back the product, to defer the timing, to engage some advocacy, so on and so forth. Because so many times in a crisis, we've heard in hindsight people saying, oh, only if I had more time. But now we get that data is giving us that elusive thing called time to be able to do that. So therefore, in a crisis, both in crisis prediction through the tools, etc., and in crisis management, when you're managing that crisis, your business needn't suffer because you can use the AI-powered chatbots, you can use some automated responses, and again, the sentiment tools to tell you, are you shifting some of the negative to the neutral at least, if not positive.
Ritika?
So I'll just add to that, when Jasrita, you mentioned about the crisis management. In terms of the qualitative data, one thing becomes very integral is that apart from the organization itself, who are the other key opinion leaders who are, speaking for us, or they are in alignment to the narrative that we are trying to shape in times of a crisis. So I think data collection from that aspect is also very important. Apart from tracking what we as an organization are doing, what our competitors are doing, it is very important to keep a track of some of the individuals, organizations, influencers who can possibly be our allies and can come, for our rescue in times of these crises. So I think that is an important aspect. The other, way that data helps us in managing a crisis is we need to be very, on a regular basis, we need to slice and dice the data and understand, especially in healthcare, because if whenever, we hear about a disease condition, the first thing that people go to is, Google, right? They search it online. So one of the key important things when we are defining a campaign strategy, and even after that, when we are mapping the progress, is what are the questions that my audience are asking? What are the questions? How has it evolved? When I started with my campaign, and therefore during crisis, it will help us in preempting that, okay, these are the questions that might now have an increase. So this is, again, a very, very important aspect that can help us.
I'll ask that question to Khushboo and Apeksha again, especially given there are so many interactions that happen on your business, especially on social media, that there is possibly a crisis every hour, I guess. So how are you really taking advantage of these data analytic tools to predict some of them and keep yourself ready from a business standpoint or a communication standpoint?
I think sentiment analysis, like she mentioned, media monitoring, just tracking what your customer is saying, the CRM, there is a lot of things going on LinkedIn. You give a post and then you have comments to it immediately. So I think as a brand, as a person you're managing the brand, you need to keep track of these points and gauge them. That leads you to understand, what can be a crisis in the few days. And anyways, if you are managing PR, you're well aware of, what is talking and what is the talk of the town, and you can take control of things that way. So I think you have to be very, very. It's a little tricky, but you have to be very smart in understanding what these data points on social media, through media monitoring, what they tell you, and on a daily basis you need to gauge them through an agency or through your team in-house. That depends, but yeah, you need to study those numbers really well to understand what your customer wants and work accordingly.
Just adding to that, I think in terms of anticipation. Is this okay? Yeah, I think it's okay.
Don't worry.
I think in terms of anticipation, how, at least in our case, how social listening helps is to just keep a track of different stakeholders and what is being said on different platforms, which at least for us helps us draft very, very customized messaging only for members who are, who have a pain point with whatever you're trying to do. So not only does that help in anticipation, but also when a crisis hits, not every stakeholder needs to hear something, but definitely there's one set of a stakeholder that wants to hear some sort of reassurance from you. So how data assessment in that sense helps us is to identify where you need to focus your energies on and customize your messaging going forward. So I think that's something that really...
It's interesting that you talk about not carpet bombing, but exclusive narratives with particular audiences.
Personalization is what matters. Yeah,
so I think that's a great insight to have in terms of how data analytics can really help be more razor focused and sharp towards particular audiences.
Yeah.
Okay, I think in the interest of time again, we got close to 5 minutes. So this question is open to all, and whoever wants to take a shot. What's the one key takeaway for PR professionals when it comes to stay ahead in the industry as far as data is concerned? What's your thought? I know you feel very passionate about it, so.
Yes. Also because, we're a young organization and we feel we have the opportunity to be really agile. I think it starts with the art of integration. Like I was saying earlier, it's important to have people with the, desired skill sets collaborate with the PR folks. Second, continuous learning, I think, is extremely important. Technology is moving at a much faster pace than we are. We'll have to play catch up. And thirdly, I think PR still remains people's profession. Till the time we're not building those relationships, no matter what kind of insights we are sitting on, they will never make it out to the world. So
interesting. Yeah. There is still a human touch required, is what you're suggesting. So there's...
I think I just add one point, which is with, of course, so much data, we're so much empowered now than we were before. And for all of us, no matter which side of the fence you're on, just assessing that data and linking that to what a business really wants, because that is the starting point from which every be it a marketing KPI or a PR KPI, Upcom KPI kind of comes from. But I think just linking that and having that deep assessment of what an organization wants and what their KPIs are, I think that skill set, if we are able to head to that direction, that changes a lot in terms of what we do.
Yeah? Yeah, go ahead. Anybody?
Yeah. I'm going to quote an author, Daniel Pink, on this. I think he mentioned that AI is not going to replace humans. Humans using AI are going to replace humans not using AI. So my only one-point message to everyone is please adopt AI and embrace ROI. Till the time we do not embrace those conversations, we are going to be on the fringes.
So I have one message for all PR professionals, the young ones and the ones who are already in it. You need to know your business completely properly. You need to know your business through and throughout. It can't be that you are a comms person and so you need to cover only the softer aspects of things. You need to know the numbers pretty well. You need to know how to crunch out data in Friends. You need to know how to make a report. You need to know how much revenue, how much basically you need to know through every detail about your business, the numbers specifically. So when you know these details, I don't think there is any there will be a problem in thinking on lines of creating a data story or trying to understand what this means and how the narrative should be. So that's my one key takeaway, that you should know your business very well.
Reegal?
Yeah. To stay ahead, I would say that PR professionals need to have a continuous learning mindset. And that, the expansion of learning beyond PR, and that should be, cross verticals, cross industries. I'll just give you an example. If we have our content department, we have advocacy department, both, a PR agency, consultancy side, and even, brand side. So if we look at the content or journalism side, then how we can learn that they are crafting compelling narrative that really, engages or resonates with the audience. That is one bit. Maybe advocacy, how they are crafting messaging, which is really targeting the audience again. They are very focused. So this cross-learning, taking care of best practices, borrowing these best practices is what I feel that really take you ahead. And then we all know that staying agile and informed in today's environment, because information is open to all, and how we use it and how we become, smart professionals is what matters the most.
So I'll keep it short, but I think one key takeaway is that data should help you solve a problem and not itself become a problem, which definitely is happening. And therefore, three things that we need to do is, first being, we need to invest enough time, and it is important. It is important to spend enough time in the data collection strategy. That how am I collecting the data that really matters and takes me closer to the problem that I'm trying to solve. The second point is that this needs to be a continuous thing. You need to clean up your data, as you use it. So inaccurate data has no place. Data that is redundant, data that is not credible enough has no place in there. And define your performance measures. I think this is the most important thing to be able to help you in leveraging data for what it is here for, and really finding the benefit of this particular panel. So,
good. I think we are on time. Thank you. Just 30 seconds more is what we've taken. But in a nutshell, what you've heard is embrace data, learn from it, and utilize the right relevant data to tell compelling stories. So thank you all. Really appreciate all the time, energy, and effort. Thank you, Ergali. And before we sign off, I'm going to ask the audience a question just to see whether they were listening to us or not. How many gigabytes of data is being used on today? So that was the data that was thrown by Reegal. I wanted to, anybody who has an answer. Okay, at least she had the guts to give some number. So she was listening. But the rest is sayonara. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Huge shout out, ladies and gentlemen. I think नॉलेज के साथ साथ अगर ह्यूमर भी मिले, दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी गॉट ओवर हियर. एक बार सर के लिए भी जोर से ताली बजाइए प्लीज, स्पेसिफिकली फॉर द ह्यूमर दैट ही ब्रॉट टू द टेबल. अ ह्यूज शाउट आउट